I want to welcome everyone today to the seminar. We see that due to overwhelming response, we're going to start it now. What we're going to do, we're very pleased about where we are with this. What we're going to do today is talk about how to survive an armed robbery. I'm here at Roland Safe with Sam White from Roland, who's going to be also speaking about that. And what we'll do is we did not anticipate such a high volume of high-risk business owners that got involved today, got online today, which is a great thing to have. We will offer this seminar also online after it's completed to anyone who was not able to get on today live. What I want to talk about today is how to survive an armed robbery, and what we've invited is a little unique. This is our very first webinar, and we find it very unique is that we have brought on board and invited people from various high-risk businesses. And what do we consider a high-risk business? That is any business that has a large amount of cash and a very desirable piece of merchandise. So on today, we have representatives or people, business owners from the pawn industry, jewelry industry, convenience store industry, liquor store industry, firearm industry, and also the cannabis industry, and one person from the vapor, e-cigarette industry. And the reason why we invited everybody to come on board from different industries is, like I said, you all have very similar problems when it comes to retail robbery prevention, robbery awareness. And what I'd like to show you is a quick little video of a training course that we do conduct at Sapphire Protection. And it's...
Hold up, give me the money. Every year, thousands of Americans suddenly find themselves in this situation. Some are injured. Some are even killed because they didn't know what to do or how to act during an armed robbery. What you do in the next 60 seconds may determine whether this robbery results in someone being injured or even killed.
And the important thing about how to survive an armed robbery and how to train your employees on armed robbery prevention is really how they should react when a robbery situation occurs and what they should do. And one of the 4 words that will change your life forever is, officer, we've been robbed. And questions start going through your mind after a robbery occurs, a retail robbery. I've been in the loss prevention field for 30 years. Again, my name is Tony Gallo. I'm the Senior Director for Sapphire Protection, here with Sam White from Roland Safe. Prior to starting my own company, I was the Director of Loss Prevention for a 1,300-store high-risk business chain, pawn shop chain, and financial loan chain. Since then, I've been involved with high-risk businesses the last several years, across the board, convenience stores, liquor stores, cannabis locations. And some of the questions that are asked during the robbery or after the robbery is, what is it going to cost me? How much of a loss did I occur? Could I have prevented any of that loss? And, important thing, we're all in the retail loss prevention, retail field. What is it going to cost my customers? What are they going to think about me? What are my employees going to think about me? Could someone have gotten seriously hurt? Hopefully no one was hurt in the robbery. And what is my insurance company going to think if this continues to happen with us? So when we look at what key benefits robbery prevention training is, we want to look at preventing robberies from ever happening. Criminals look for businesses that aren't prepared. One of the things that I have done and that I've looked at over the years is, as we have had armed robberies, is did the robbers look at another location down the street prior to coming to the location that was robbed? Did they feel that the security at the other location was better? And that's why they robbed the location, or did they just feel that they were able to get in and out quicker? You want to educate your employees on best practices so it will help reduce any losses or injuries that can occur. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, about the level of violence and when it comes to robberies. Training people, educating them on how to identify suspects is an important thing. And it's a very attractive risk profile for your insurance carriers. If there are insurance carriers out there that look at the number of robberies you have when it comes to your insurance fees and bills. So, again, I talked about high-risk businesses and why are high-risk businesses all involved in one webinar. Why wouldn't there be one just for pawn and one just for cannabis or for just liquor stores? And that is because you all have three things really in common. You all have a large amount of cash in your stores. You're a cash company, business. Bad guys know that you have a large amount of cash. You have a high interaction with the general public. They're in your stores constantly, from a retail establishment or a loaning establishment or a cannabis establishment, and you all have a high-value piece of merchandise that is very desirable. Unlike a bicycle store or a sweater store or something like that, although that merchandise is valuable, when you're talking about gold or jewelry or Rolex watches or marijuana or liquor or firearms, it's merchandise that's easily taken and sold on the street, and it's a very desirable piece of merchandise that goes across boundaries. So let's look at what is an armed robbery. You know, the definition of armed robbery is to use force to steal from someone. Usually during business hours, an armed robbery occurs. When you look at the difference between an armed robbery and a burglary, a lot of people got that confused. A burglary is when someone breaks into your store at night. If they cut a hole in your roof and drop down and steal merchandise, that's a burglary because no force was used. And the difference between that is the force factor of someone coming in to rob you with the use of force. So what's the most common weapon that we see in armed robberies? And the most common weapon we see in armed robberies are firearms. 65% of all retail armed robberies and high-risk businesses occur by the use of a firearm. Mostly handguns are used. We do see long weapons and shotguns used, but primarily it is firearms. The 18% of it is strong arm, which someone will come in and grab some merchandise and muscle them way out of the store or lean over a counter and grab something and like a shoplifter would do, but more showing that they're going to use some sort of force. And then you see knives used 8% of the time, and then others would be 9%. So firearms is the biggest challenge, something you need to be aware of while you're keeping an eye out for any potential problems. The important slide here, and this is something that I always want to make sure people understand, because when we talk about this subject, it's a very difficult subject for people to grasp because it doesn't happen all the time, and it's not in the norm. But 87% of all armed robberies are not violent. Remember, what a robber's intentions are is they want to come into the store and they want to get the money or the merchandise and leave the store. Their intentions were not to inflict any harm on anybody. That wasn't their initial desire to do that. So the majority of armed robberies are not violent, and that would be one thing that I would bring back to any employee in your company to keep that in mind. The purpose of the robber is not there primarily to hurt somebody. So let's look at the two most typical robberies we see. We see cash robberies and we see merchandise robberies. This is the most dominating type of robberies that you will see in any retail location, high-risk location. And when you look at a cash robbery and how it plays out, you'll see that most cash robberies, the robber is only looking for cash. His desire really is just to get the cash from the cash drawer primarily, and they're usually in the store less than 60 seconds. The majority of those cash robberies The person has no intentions of getting any more money out of the safe. If you have a drop safe, they usually don't even ask to see the drop safe. They're really focusing on getting money out of the drawer. They want in, they want out, and they want to move on with the cash. When you look at what to do about cash and how do you manage your cash, you want to get the cash out of your store as quickly as possible. I see a lot of locations that if they're robbed and you say, well, how much did they get? And you'll go, well, $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. The first question I always ask is, did the store really need that much cash to conduct their business, whether it's a pawn location or whether it's a firearm location or a convenience store location? There should be a certain amount of cash that the store will need to run their business, but anything else really needs to be taken out of the store. There needs to be a process and a procedure to be able to remove that cash and to be able to put it where it belongs, primarily in a bank or off-site anyway. So how do we reduce some of these cash robberies? We want to keep our cash levels low, especially in the cash drawer. You'll have to decide from a business point of view how much cash you'll need in the drawer and to conduct business. Somewhere in the vicinity of $500 to $1,000 is the general norm for most high-risk businesses. But again, you'll have to decide whether that's right for you, if it could be lower or not. But you want to keep it as low as you possibly can. Second thing is, anytime you reach that level in your cash drawer, you want to remove that cash and you want to put it somewhere immediately, like a drop safe. The picture I'm showing you here is a very inexpensive drop safe. Runs around $500. It's used for daytime. Money goes in there. There's a little combination on it. It primarily will withstand an attack from most robbers. At night, you would remove that cash from that safe and put it with the rest of your cash in your primary TL-rated safe. Leave that door open so if someone did break in, that they would not attack the safe. Same thing with your cash drawer. When you remove at night the money from your cash drawer, leave your cash drawer open at night. So if there is a break-in, that the person who's breaking in will look at your cash drawer and realize that there's no cash in there and will not do any damage to your cash drawer. You also want to be able to make regular bank deposits. There needs to be some sort of system set up. If you're an independent and you're all by yourself and you're on vacation, somebody should be able to go to the bank to deposit cash. There needs to be some mechanism. Some of the worst robberies that I've been involved in involved largest amount of cash because individuals were on vacation and did not have time to go to the bank. Somehow the word got out, they were robbed, and they lost a significant amount of cash. You look at cash robberies is really an opportunity from somebody. The other thing you want to look at is, one of the things we always say is you want to treat your cash like trash. You want to be able to dispose of your money as quickly as possible. Remember, really where it belongs is where it's going to do the most benefit for you is in the bank. So let's talk a little bit about merchandise robberies. Most robbers target both merchandise and cash. Remember, at the end result of a robber is to get cash. They might take the merchandise because they can sell that merchandise out on the street. But a robber does not need 7 Rolex watches. He's going to convert that into cash. He does not need 4 pounds of marijuana. He's going to convert that into cash or firearms or so forth. But his main target in a merchandise robbery is the merchandise because he realizes that there's value out there on the street that he's going to be able to convert. And this takes a little longer than the cash robber. Mostly, this robber is in and out of the store in about 3 minutes, and his desire really is, again, to get the merchandise and to get out of the store. And you look at the merchandise robbers, and you realize that, again, they want to come in, they're there to scare you, but they're really there to get the merchandise as quickly as possible. So how do we reduce merchandise robberies? Well, we want to make sure we try and keep our high-value merchandise locked away. One of the biggest robbery prevention and robbery deterrent things you can do is to make it difficult for a robber to come in and get merchandise or get cash and give it an extended period of time. Remember, a robber wants to be in the store for less than 3 minutes. If it's going to take him 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get whatever he's desiring, he may decide to go down the street where that high-value merchandise maybe is not locked away. About 2 or 3 years ago, we started seeing an increase in glass, jewelry case glass being shattered in pawn shops and jewelry stores, liquor cases glass and high-value liquor, and also in the cannabis industry, we started seeing these glass being shattered. We call them smash and grabs because the person comes in and smashes the case and takes the merchandise out. One of the things you want to look at is a shattered resistant glass. 3M makes a good product that does that. It's able to reduce the amount of time that, or extend the amount of time that a robber can get the merchandise. And again, may deter them from coming back again, or may deter them from getting anything out. And the last point I want to talk about is I call it keeping all your eggs in one basket. You know, just be cognizant if you're merchandising and if you're a jewelry store and if you have 10 Rolex watches in one section of the jewelry case, the chances are that that's the case that's going to be attacked. If you have high-end firearms in one piece of the case, chances are that that's going to be attacked. So when you look at your merchandising, if you can spread out your high-dollar items, you might want to consider that. If you're not, you just need to be cognizant of the fact that if there's a robbery, that will probably be the section that's going to be attacked, and make sure that you have good cameras watching and all other preventions in place. So we talked about cash. We talked about merchandise. But what's the main goal during the robbery? What's the most important thing that you can teach your employees about what's their goal during the robbery? And the main role of any robbery is you want to get the robber out of the store. You want him in. You want him to perform whatever act he's going to do. Hopefully no one will be hurt during that, and you want him to leave. The reason for that is majority of robbers are not trained professional robbers. They don't come in. They may be in a gang. That doesn't mean that they're a professional like you see on TV. A lot of robbers are very nervous. And the amount of time that they spend in the store and the amount of nervousness, as the level of violence is low when they're in there for a very short period of time and the amount of cash or merchandise they want to take is low, that level increases, and cash and merchandise losses increase as they spend more and more time in the store. So that's something important that you want to take away, is you want to make sure that you get those robbers to leave as quickly as possible. No sudden movements. You know, again, a very nervous person, he's holding a gun. He doesn't need you overreacting. He doesn't need something to happen that he's not going to anticipate happening. If the register drawer makes a ringing noise, he needs to know that that's going to happen when he opens up the drawer. If there's someone in the back room, he needs to know if someone's going to be in the back room, and he'll hear any noises back there. If he opens up a jewelry case and the jewelry case alarm goes off, these are things he should know. So how do you get the robber to leave? You want to cooperate. I'm going to show you a 1-minute video of a robbery that occurred in a convenience store not too long ago, and I use this as a training video on some things that I think you'll identify from this webinar already on things that you may want to consider not doing.
Chilling video reveals an armed robbery caught on tape, and tonight police are hoping you can help track down the suspect.
Yes, 7 Action News reporter Tara Edwards talked with workers who managed to survive a close encounter in Waterford.
Business is back to normal here at Anthony's Pizza and Party Shop, but for those who were robbed at gunpoint the other night, it still hasn't sunk in what had them running out the back door. The man burst into Anthony's Pizza and Party Shop Sunday, all business. Gun pointed, he threw a duffel bag at the clerk and ordered him to put cash inside. On the other end of the gun, Leon Hook.
I'm looking right down the barrel, and he says, I said, dude, you're on camera, man. Why don't you just get the hell out of here, you know? I said, that gun's not even real.
And Leon started laughing, and we were standing there laughing, and he says, for real, this is a joke, right? You know,
But in a matter of seconds, Leon and Maria Stokes found out it was no joke. The man holding the gun knocked over a stack of guns, then pulled the trigger. When it didn't work, Maria immediately called 911 right in front of the intruder.
No, I was hoping he'd ran out the door.
But instead, the robber cocked the gun again and aimed for the ceiling.
That's when I realized we're actually being robbed, and I said, I'm out of here. You take what you want. We're out of here.
Obviously, I think you can look at that video and go, you know, these are certain things that I wouldn't have done. Obviously, you want to take all robberies seriously. You want to cooperate with that robber while he's in the store. You don't want to aggravate that robber where he's going to take some action by trying to go for the phone and dialing 911. These are things that you may do after the situation occurred. And, you know, you look at the video from a training point of view, but really when you look at that, you know, it could be anybody, and you don't know how you're going to react. And that's really where the training comes involved, and that's really where the education comes involved of how your people should act during a robbery. So, like I said before, no loud noises. You want to cooperate with the robber. You want to get him in and out as quickly as possible in the store. And again, no surprises. If he gives you instructions to get down, and you feel that you should cooperate with that, then you want to get down. If you feel that you can get into a gun battle and no one's going to get hurt, then that's a decision you're going to have to make. But there are ramifications to that also, and you're going to need to keep that in mind. We've lost several high-risk business owners last year in shootouts. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they weren't, and then, again, that's your decision. Just no surprises to that robber. So the robbery occurred. Person came in, got whatever he wanted. Hopefully no one was hurt. And what's the most important thing to do after a robbery? Just take a breath and relax. People, right at that moment, your mind is racing. You really don't know what you should do next. You don't know how you should react. If you weren't trained on robbery awareness, you may react in a way that's not appropriate, in a way that could get other people even injured. So find a place for that moment. Take a few minutes, balance it. It's a very difficult thing to explain. I've been involved in an armed robbery. I understand the adrenaline that's going through. But if you can take away something from this webinar, it's take that one breath and go, everybody's okay, or everything is done, it's over with. And then try not to overreact. I tell people in high-risk situations, I've been involved in emergency situations, that after everything is said and done, we'll all have our nervous breakdown. But at that moment right now, people are looking at you for guidance and direction. So what do you do after an armed robbery? Well, first thing you want to do is dial 911. You don't want to activate your alarm. First you dial 911. Then you activate your alarm. And the reason why is when you activate your alarm company contacts the police and say they received an alarm activation. The police put that in a different category than if they got a 911 call originally from the person saying we've just been robbed. You can do both at the same time, but you should be dialing 911 and then activating your alarm. Lock the front door. The robber's not going to come back. But you want to give that peace of mind to the people that are in the store at that moment that the bad thing has stopped and you have locked the door so no one else will come back in and that the robbers will not come back in. Ask everybody if they're okay. Take charge. Does anyone need an ambulance? Does anyone need some water? Do you need to sit down on the floor? You know, show some concern not only for your employees but also for your customers in your store. Don't touch anything. If the robber has picked up a bag of potato chips, then leave the potato chips on the floor. If he's grabbed a piece of jewelry or he's put his hand on a counter, don't touch that area. Let the police come and take fingerprints. Let them do what they normally do during an investigation and leave that area segregated from everybody. And the last thing you want to do is you want to have everyone in the store complete a robbery identification form. Two reasons. This is an identification form. My company supplies that. Even if you don't use my company, FBI has a form. You can go online and find this form. And there are two main reasons. First of all, you want to give the form to everybody in the store. and you want to have them filling it out. First, it'll help the police with identifying who that person is that robbed the store. But the second most important thing is it gives people something to do. At that moment, after a robbery has occurred, people do not know what to do with themselves, how to react, what they should do. So they start thinking of horrible things that are going to happen or could have happened or going to happen. By giving them something to keep their mind off of while you wait for the police to come, it'll help them more relax and get back into their normal focus of life. So I take this this slide, and I show it. I speak across the United States at high-risk conferences, and I always show this video, and it's the story of the two campers in the bear. So I'm going to, because I have people throughout the United States on this call right now, I'm going to take the Super Bowl and go with, there's two campers. One's a Seattle Seahawks fan, and one is a New England Patriots fan. And I'm a Seahawks fan, so we're going to go with the Seahawks fan being the hero in this one. Bear shows up with the two campers in the woods, and the two campers start to run. The Seahawks fan stops, starts to tie his shoelaces, while the New England Patriots fan starts running past them. Patriots fan turns around, says to the Seahawks fan, says, "You're never going to outrun that bear." The Seahawks fan turns back and says, "I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you." And that's the same thing with your security. Your security doesn't have to be the state-of-the-art security system, but what your security has to be, it has to be better than the guy down the street. One of the things that my company does is security reviews. We go to locations and look at their security, and you'd be amazed at how you look at security from a different set of eyes, not being in your store every single day, where a camera at one time was looking at something, but now all of a sudden is being blocked, or a chain. We had a chain that was on a gate in the back that was storing merchandise, and it was a very good chain, as the owner told me, and a very good lock, except that the tie, the security tie, really defeated the whole situation. So when you look at your security, what you really need to understand is your security better than the guy down the street? When we talk about robbery prevention, one of the things that is very important to understand is who has to control the situation. Do you have control of the situation? Even during a robbery, are you in control, or is the robber in control? And how do you get that control back? I want to talk a little bit about how you can get control back and some devices that are offered to you. And I asked Sam White from Robbery Safe to come here today, and he's going to give us a little bit of a short little discussion about some safes that are out there, some equipment out there for you. And I'm going to turn it over to Sam now.
Thanks, Tony. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to join in on this webinar today. You've presented a lot of good material for all of our listeners in the various industries that they're in. One thing I want to touch on right off the bat, whether you've been in the jewelry industry for decades or you're maybe starting a new venture in another industry, you may not know the difference in the types of labels on safes. When you start shopping for your first safe for your business, you may be advised to look for some type of rating or label. The first rating that most people go to is the fire rating. That's just something that people have in their minds. They understand what fire rating means. When you're storing your high-value merchandise in something, the fire label can be important, but it's not the most important label. What you need to look for is a label that comes from the underwriter's laboratory. That is going to give the safe the distinguishment of being a TL-rated safe. So you have a UL-rated safe that is distinguished as either TL15, TL30, TL30X6, etc. So look for that TL rating. What that TL rating means is that that safe has been tested to withstand an attack. As Tony was talking to earlier, there's robbery and then there's burglary. So where that UL rating on TL30s really comes into play is a burglary situation where they have time to attack the safe with tools, whether it's drilling into it, cutting into it, whatever their means of attack may be. That TL rating gives a distinguishment that this safe has been built to withstand those attacks. Now, the last thing Tony mentioned was control, and I can't emphasize how important it is to make sure that you understand what control can do for you in a situation such as an armed robbery. When someone comes into your store with a firearm or any weapon at hand, they're trying to take control over your business temporarily. When an employee steps up and tries to protect your business, that might be their attempt to take control back, but it puts both your employee and your business at even more risk, and everyone in that store, whether it's your customers or your employees. So what you want to do is you want to have a program and a system that shifts that control from the armed robber, not to the employee or anyone on your side, but to something like a safe. And you might ask yourself, how could the safe possibly obtain the control? But with the right type of lock on the safe is storing your precious inventory that they're coming after. If you have the right lock with a time delay on it, you transfer that control from the armed robber to the safe and the lock itself. And that's just one simple little thing that you can do. So rather than the armed robber potentially reacting against the employee or someone in the store, all of their emotions are now directed towards that inanimate object because of that time delay. Now, another thing that you can do that can dramatically reduce your potential for loss is compartmentalization. The safe you're seeing right now on the screen was designed for the pawn industry specifically because of the high value assets that they hold in their stores. And you might be holding anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million inventory in one safe. And you have all your eggs in one basket that way. And if it's a UL rated safe, it's better than having it in, say, a gun safe or even a storage cabinet. But with compartmentalizing like this specific system right here has 32 drawers. You reduce your risk statistically by dividing all of your inventory into those 32 different drawers. Insurance companies love this system because insurance is all based on probability. And the probability of someone coming into your store and wiping you clean when you've got everything in one open compartment or one compartment is a lot higher than if you have things spread out amongst many different drawers such as this. So just kind of to recap over what we talked about on the safes, you're really paying for two things when you purchase a safe: control and time. And on the time side of it, on one end you're buying more time. When you buy a UL rated safe with that TL label on it, you're buying more time that safe can withstand from an attack. On the other end, what you're buying is time control. You can control the amount of time that armed robber spends in your store, because rather than being in and out with your whole entire inventory, sure, he might get you into one or two of your drawers, but statistically you have reduced the effectiveness of his time, and he left with statistically much less inventory that he came in to get. And what we're watching right here is a video of pawn robbery that happened about a month ago, where they come in with an assault rifle, and then they go right past the pawn system. I believe they made out with a couple $100s in cash from the register, but the grand total of the inventory in this store was a lot higher than that if they would have been able to access all of it. But because of that pawn system there, the robbers actually, you can see he went for it and totally disregarded it because he knew it wasn't worth his time. And just kind of a funny little picture here. If your safe looks like this, if it's something you got at an estate sale or that was passed down from you, it's time to get a new one. Upgrade to one of these UL rated safes as you're seeing on the screen right now. And if you have any questions, please reach out. But I'm going to go ahead and pass the rest of this webinar on to Tony. Tony, I appreciate you allowing me on.
Thank you, Sam. So let's talk a little bit about how to train your staff. One of the most important things that you need to train your staff on is the most important thing you need to be successful as a businessman, and that is good customer service. Good customer service solves so many problems. If you're able to have your employees at the top of the line when it comes to their customer service, you solve your sales problems, you solve your loan problems, and you solve a lot of your shrinkage and loss prevention problems. If you're able to train those associates on how to react during an armed robbery or how to act when they see a shoplifter or someone who potentially might be looking to rob the store, that's important right there to deterring a robbery. I can't tell you how many stores that the bad guys have come in, and because of good customer service, they left and went down the block and robbed another store. Alert phrases. One of the suggestions I have is that every store should have an alert phrase. It should be some sort of expression that you would say that everyone who works there understands that something is not right. Mr. Wilson's batteries came in. When you say that, everyone knows that there's no Mr. Wilson and there's no batteries and something is not right. So the store should develop some sort of alert phrase. The alert phrase of there's bad guys in the store, there's a robber in the store, those are not good alert phrases, obviously. But some phrase that the normal person would not realize that you have now alerted everyone that something is not right in the store. I talked a little bit about the use of firearms. Again, it is a decision that you need to make. The only caveat I always offer is that if you are going to be armed in your store, you need to be able to understand that if you pull that weapon, you better be able to use it. If you're not able to use that weapon, that's your decision, but I would not suggest you carry it. So it is something that I talk about a lot in my conferences, and I just wanted to touch base with that and give you a little bit of my feel for that. Also, what to do afterwards. I think you see that a lot of times when a person, they just don't know what to do after a robbery has occurred or a shoplifting has occurred or something bad has occurred. You know, they haven't been trained. There's no place that they can go. There's no policy. There's no procedure. There's no follow-up to it. So discussing how you would want someone to react, lock the doors, dial 911, I think goes a lot in the training part of it. And then also offering employee assistance. One of the things that I see is employee assistance all the time is that, you know, a lot of times a robber, after a robbery, a victim does not react to the robbery until days later, sometimes even months or weeks later. So being sure and making sure that your employees are offered some sort of assistance, whatever that might be, taking some time off, discussing what has occurred. The worst possible employees that I've come involved that are the ones who immediately say, you know, it's no big deal, I can move on, it's nothing wrong. They internalize that, and after a while, that's when they usually break or they'll quit or they'll decide that they're not going to want to stay anymore with the company. So how will you protect your business? It's a difficult thing. I hope a little bit of this webinar helped you get some pointers and some tips. I always say if you come away with a couple of points during my presentation, then it's worth it to give out. I discussed my company, Sapphire Protection, has an armed robbery awareness program. We offer a review of your floor plan when it comes to your security needs. We do an online video awareness program. The online training is a 13-minute video. I think you saw it a little bit at the beginning of the training with 15 multiple choice questions, and employees can complete the course at their own pace from their own computer. You get a certificate, and I think we're a little behind on what's coming up. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, and you get a certificate. There you go. At the end of your completion, and there's a post-robbery instruction folder, and that's important. Remember what I kept telling what you do afterwards, and in that folder, you believe it, are things that you will need after you have a robbery. We service a lot of our high-risk customers and give them this red folder, and my desire is that they will never, ever have to open that folder. One of the most important signs, believe it or not, is a closed sign. You'd be amazed how people are not able to write closed after a robbery. And we also offer a $1,000 reward, which is part of our package. The whole program comes out to $240, and we charge $25 for each employee to take the online course. Again, it's something I just wanted to bring to your attention. So we have a couple of questions that came in. I'm going to field these questions now, and then If you have any more questions, feel free to contact myself or Sam. I'm going to bring up our information now as we field these questions so you can jot it down. If you want a copy of this webinar, we're going to have it offered for free. And again, any questions you have up that you want to direct to myself or Sam. And Sam, I'm going to throw out the first question to you. I got a question here from Natalie, who's in California, and she asked, what is more important, a good camera system or a good safe?
Well, that's a good question. I think that a lot of times when people are evaluating their security plans now, it's very easy for them to write big checks for the technology. Technology is flashy, and it makes people feel like they're spending their money in the right way. And by no means am I saying not to put a security camera system in your store. However, as we saw in both of those videos that we just watched, they had cameras in place, and the armed robbery still took place in both instances. The difference between the two is one had a proper security plan with the physical security in place, with the pawn system there. The robbers overlooked the pawn system, knowing it was something they didn't want to tackle. They got a small amount of cash and were gone. A good video camera system is going to give you a very good and vivid, clear picture of a robbery that just happened that you couldn't prevent. Physical security is an investment it's your last line of defense, and for that reason, I'd have to say invest in the physical security.
Good answer. Question from Shelley in Twin Bridges, Missouri. How much money should I keep in the register? Again, I mentioned that at the beginning. Your cash drawer should have the amount of money you need to conduct your transactions. If that's $100 in the drawer, that's fine. If it's $500, that's fine. Really, if you think about it, if you're only giving change out, it really shouldn't be much more than a few $100s. If you have to give out loans, it might be even higher than that. But you need to look at it from your business point of view. I can tell you that I can't think of any business that really should have $5,000 to $10,000 worth of cash in the cash drawer. I don't think it makes any sense. But it is a decision that you need to make from a business point of view, and you should be cognizant of that decision. Sam, a question from Rick in New Orleans. Why is a TL safe better than a gun safe?
Well, I kind of alluded to this in my brief time. So with a gun safe, what you're getting with a gun safe is you're getting gauged metal steel, and potentially what those walls are filled with is nothing more than sheetrock. And if you've ever been involved in construction, you know that sheetrock has the tendency to resist fire, but it's very easy to go through. That's why your gun safes can boast a 90-minute to 2-hour fire rating, but they really offer you no physical protection. The inside of those walls are sheetrock, surrounded by gauged steel, and with a TL-rated safe, you're getting composite, concrete-filled walls in there that have been actually tested by Underwriters Laboratory to withstand a physical tool attack. And that's just something you don't get at all with a gun safe. And insurance companies that do this for a living want to see your stuff in a TL-rated safe.
And we'll take one more. And then what we'll do is, like I said, any other questions you have, please email us, and we'll answer them. Let's take this one. We'll take Grant from Florida. When should I push the alarm button? I'll take this one. So when should you push the alarm button? Again, that's a judgment call. Should you push the alarm button during the robbery, or do you wait for it after the robbery? Again, first thing you want to always have is your safety first. You want to make sure that your employees understand that. They can push the alarm button without putting themselves in safety, without putting themselves in jeopardy. It might be a good decision for them to make at that point. I don't think there's anything that can tell them when to do it. I think though those devices should be available, whether it's concealed underneath the register counter or they wear it as a remote panic. There should be that ability to alert the police that a robbery is happening. Sometimes we've even had situations where the employees have been locked in a bathroom or locked in a safe room. There should be access to alerting the police that they've been robbed. So I'm going to close now the webinar. I appreciate it. I hope that you come away with some information that has some value. If there's any questions, like I said, please feel free to contact me or contact Sam. We're going to post this webinar online, so if there's any employees or anyone that in your company who has not seen this or heard this webinar that you think has value, feel free to give it to them. And we'll hope to be able to have some more of these webinars in this year. We like to do some more training. I'm sorry for those who could not get on. For those who are on, I hope you appreciated it. It was an overwhelming response to this webinar, so we're very pleased with that. And wish everyone a good afternoon, and be safe and be profitable. Hello. Hello. I didn't even get to ask my question.